Hi friends, good morning. This is your Adithya. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to say how to write a program to find the first and last digits of a number in Python. Okay, first let's assume that the user has given a number, for example 5678. Okay, so it prints the first digit is 5 and the last digit is 8. Okay, now let's see the code. This is the code. First let's see what's in the main function. In the first line we are using the input function to ask the user the input and store it in a variable called as user input. Next we are using the try except method. The try except method does what's in the try block, and if it gets any errors, it will do what's in the except block. Okay, now let's see what's in the try block. User input equal to int user input. While taking the input from the input function, it defaultly takes the data type as a string. So we are converting the data type from a string to an integer data type. Okay, in another case, when the user enters an alphabet, for example ABC, it will throw an value error exception. That's when we'll handle the exception value error using the except block. When an value error exception occurs, it will print invalid input. As we want only when the value error exception comes, we are mentioning that when an value error exception comes, do this. Okay. Now let's see the other program. If user input less than 0. If we enter an negative number, negative numbers are less than 0. So it will do what's in the if statement. As we want to find the first and last digits, we can only find it using positive integers. So we are converting the negative number into a positive number. User input equal to user input into -1. So as we discussed, we are converting user input into a positive number. As we know that by multiplying a number by -1 gives us a positive number. For example, user input is -5. -5 into -1 is equal to 5. Okay, next we are calling the function first last digits and giving its arguments user input. The parameters will receive the user input's value and store it in a variable called as num. Okay, now let's see what's in the function. LD equal to num mod 10. Num mod 10 returns the value of num divided by 10, the remainder of num divided by 10. Let's assume that the num's value is 456. Num divided by 10 is 45 and the remainder is 6, which will be stored into the variable last digit LD. Next, while num greater than 10, the while loop continues as long as the condition is true. As num, which is 456, is greater than 10, so it will execute what's in the state in it. Num equal to num divided by 10. We are dividing it by 10 because when we divide it by 10, the quotient comes, and when it is less than 10, only a single digit will remain and the digit will be the first digit. Okay, let's take it with an example. 153. Num's value is 153. As 153 is greater than 10, it will execute. Num divided by 10. So now num's value is 15. Okay, it will execute again because 15 is greater than 10. So now num's value is 1. As 1 is less than 10 but not greater than 10, it will exit the loop and it will print the first digit is num and the last digit is ld. Okay, we are using the int function because while dividing it, it will give us a float number which is a decimal number. So after converting num, we will print it. And we are using the format function because we can't depend on string and an integer data type. That's why we are using the format function. Okay, as we know that functions don't execute on their own, we are calling the first last digits function over here and the main function over here. Okay, now let's see our code in action. First I am going to enter and pause to number. For example, 245. It printed as expected. The first digit is 2 and the last digit is 5. Okay, now let me enter the number minus 56. These two worked as expected. The first digit is 5 and the last digit is 6. Let me enter another negative number, minus 5. As there is only one digit in minus 5, so the first digit is 5 and the last digit is also 5. Okay, now let me enter and string like ABC. These two printed as expected, invalid input. So our program works. Thank you and please subscribe.